Story 1, about a 7. As I have gotten older, I care a lot less about what people think about me. Story 2, it depends on how much alcohol is in my system. Sober, 5 out of 10. Drunk, 10 out of 10. Story 3, it depends on what I am doing. Playing pool, darts, and FIFA, 10 out of 10. Talking to women, 2 out of 10. Overall life, 7 out of 10. Story 4, probably a good 8 out of 10 on average. I learned long ago that embarrassment lives in your own head. Story 5, I used to be a level 2. As I have gotten older, I am probably a level 6. I do not care anymore, you know. We are screwed anyway. Story 6, 9 times out of 10, most of the time, the perks of getting older include not caring what other people think about you. Story 7, somewhere between just and right, very close to the middle but not quite. Story 8, I feel terrible. Lately, everything has gone wrong in my life. Story 9, honestly, it depends on the day. I suffer from anxiety, and that affects my confidence. Some situations can be harder than others. Story 10, any confidence I had was ripped away from me when I was a kid, and I never got it back, mainly because people are still taking it away from me. Story 11, confident in what? Life, fitness, fighting? Overall, probably a 7 to 8, but it all depends. Story 12, I fancy myself as an immortal creator of reality itself. So 9, I would say. Story 13, driving 9. I have some miles under my belt. Gaming 7. The gaming world has evolved, but I am still hanging back in the chill game phase. Parenting 7. She turned out very well. I admit I could have done some things better, but if you asked my daughter, I am a 10, no contest. Adulting 4. Let's face it, I am immature and have zero cares to give anymore. Marriage 9. Nobody is perfect, but her happiness gives me hope that I am doing well. Gardening 7. It could be the weather that is giving me a bad reputation on this one. Surviving 11. That is all I do, baby. Story 14. Because I have worked on myself to become this way through learning knowledge and skills. With each new thing I learn and practice, it builds me up. Each success increases my confidence to try more new things, and the cycle continues. Story 15. I am 38 and my confidence is about an 8. The older I get and the more experience I have, the more I realize that I do not know as much as I previously thought, even about my own profession. But this realization is balanced by the fact that I am also realizing that other people know less than I thought. The amount other people know seems to be declining at a greater rate than what I know. As for caring about how others perceive me, I am in the legal profession. How people perceive me and the quality of my work, that is, people need to be able to trust me to be right, is remaining high, while many of my friends say that they simply care less about what people think. Story 16, used to be 0. Then I had a child with someone. Fell apart. Went to about a 5. Single dad energy and all that. Found another woman, was with her for 8 years. Had a son. She left me. I started working on myself like an absolute animal. Not shredded, but I've leaned out. Probably now about an 8 or 9 depending on the vibe of the person I'm talking to. Next person I'm with, it's very simple. If you are the one, I will work, go to the gym, treat you, be that guy. But I'll only put a ring on that finger if we last 10 years. That's simple. Story 17, used to be a 3, now I am 10. Entering your 30s does wonders for men. Story 18, 2 out of 10. Closing in on 30, I would say confidence and self-worth levels started decreasing quickly from 26, while insecurity has been rising. Story 19, probably a 6.5 out of 10 on most days. I am not insecure, but I overthink things too much, and that slows me down sometimes. The moment I stop caring what people think, my confidence hits 9 out of 10. But those moments do not always last long. I am working on it, though. Confidence for me is not about being loud. It is about being sure, and I am getting there. Story 20, 2 out of 10. I can barely remember to bring my own head. I do not trust myself enough to be confident. Story 21. I am confident I am usually correct, but I do make mistakes because I am human. Story 22. somewhere between 8 and 9. It actually depends on the type of topic we are discussing. Story 23. Depends on the setting and if I think I have something to offer. Story 24. It depends on the day, on my cycle, on the time. I feel like a 10 after a workout, then -5 before my period starts. Some mornings I wake up or go to bed feeling 2, then I do something right, such as eating healthy food, saying something smart, or looking good in jeans and feel 8. Story 25. November 10th, I have never done something that I did not want to do, and I will never do that in my life. You can say I have control. Story 26. Solid 7 to 8. I am very sure of who I am as a person, and I do not care about what people think of me generally unless it is someone I will see more than once, such as coworkers, classmates, or family. Story 27. Because I am an Arab male living in a Western country, even though I was born here and do not speak Arabic or have any religious attachments, I am seen as an immigrant Muslim and often endure jokes about terrorism. In reality, I am just a gamer and educated by the internet. Like anyone else, I am not ashamed of being Arab or how I look, but I keep being reminded that I am not considered good enough to form a relationship because of my origin. People may love or like me, but they never want to be with me. I will always be seen as my parents' origin. Story 28. Depends on what aspect we are discussing. In terms of confidence in my professional ability and respect from colleagues, I would probably say an 8. If it is about common sense and practicality, I would go for an 8 again. If we are talking about confidence in my appearance, I would say it is about a 2. Story 29. 8 to 10, but always pushing for 10. Alcohol disrupts it. An episode of 11, 12, 11, 10, 9, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 3. Over some days. 5, 3, 6, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, 8 to 10. Story 30, close to 8. Because my job requires someone who is strong and confident. Story 31. I'm a loser and proud to be so, I guess 8 out of 10. Plus, I'm not scared to tell what I think, super blunt, but still somehow understanding. What I just don't have is the drive to pursue anything. I'm a happy nihilist. Story 32. My confidence level is 7 because I am not perfect and never shall be in this life. I talk to God about this nearly every day and ask Him to help me with it. Story 33. I am financially very stable and live in a low cost of living area with my solid domestic partner. I have many phenomenal friends. Story 34. I have social anxiety and was also bullied when I was a child. I think they are connected. Story 35. 5.5 out of 10 because I am unsure whether 1 or 10 indicates the highest confidence. Story 36. I have done a lot in life already. I am old. I have lived a full life. At one point, I was homeless. I slept in a parking garage and in a forest preserve. Today, I am wealthy, relatively speaking. I have fully owned 3 homes and multiple apartments and condominiums. The first house I sold was for over $1 million. If my wife decided not to work, she could do that, and I would be able to support her and our children without any change to our lifestyle. I can afford college for my children out of pocket. My family can go to the doctor whenever they wish. My children attend private school. My greatest accomplishment and pride is that I can take care of my family. Nothing I could buy or own has ever or will ever make me happier than my family. I consider it a privilege to support their well-being and happiness. Story 37. 6 or 7 depending on the average day. 2 if I have not eaten in more than 12 hours. 10 if I think someone is trying to embarrass me. Story 38. It depends, I guess. Not usually higher than 5 though. Confident enough to approach my wife, but not so confident that I can put myself out there at work or around strangers. Takes me a while to warm up, I guess. Story 39. Are you asking me to name every lanthanide and actinide? Or how many hours I have played World of Warcraft? Am I trying to be social at a party, which is easy, or giving a big presentation, which is terrifying? Story 40. I am my own biggest fan. I am spectacular. There will always be someone to tell me what trash I am, so I simply tune them out with my amazing smile. Story 41. 7 or 8, which I think is the most confidence that one should realistically have. I am aware that there are some things I cannot do, and I have learned some of those limits the hard way. But I also know what I can do, and I have learned how to do those things well. I have found myself doing well in the things I am unsure of, and if it turns out that it is one of the things I cannot do, then it does not matter to me. I used to be extremely insecure, but I surprised myself when I aimed to test my potential. Maybe it will crash down over my head in the future, but that is for another time. Story 42. My confidence is basically a wireless fidelity signal. Strong at home, weak in public, gone completely when meeting new people. Story 43. I am good at what I do, can sell myself well, and am very self-aware. I stopped caring about what other people think of me but maintain a very small and highly intelligent group chat that helps keep me grounded. Story 44. 2 out of 10 in private life. I was raised thinking I am never right and cannot do anything well. The school system reinforced this by only providing negative feedback, such as, you got 95 out of 100? So bad, you should have known the other 5. The rest doesn't count. And so on. I doubt everything and do not trust my gut feeling. I even have a hard time identifying my needs and emotions because they have been neglected for so long. Edit. As others have noticed, alcohol removes the self-doubt filter. I am not drinking much anymore and kind of miss youthful opportunities to meet people and make first impressions while tipsy. Strong 8 out of 10 in the professional world. In my first corporate job, I discovered a culture of positive feedback and appreciation, and I absolutely thrive in that setting. It makes me wonder where I would be privately if I had more luck with family, school, and university. Story 45. I am about an 8, maybe 9. As I get older, it is not that I do not care what people think. I just know I am a pretty good, well-meaning, smart guy. So, I can laugh off people being overbearing or rude easily. Story 46. I would say I am like a solid 7. I have my moments, but for the most part, I am pretty secure with myself. The only thing bothering me right now is that I have gained some weight from the medications I am taking. Story 47. I would say a strong 3 out of 10. I'm not in very good shape, skinny fat. I'm kind of not doing well mentally either, so I must be a pain to talk to. My haircut is okay, I guess, and the only things I really have going for me are my height and a small amount of willingness to change. I don't drink or smoke, so I guess that's a plus too. Story 48. Depends on the situation. When I am working, 9.5 out of 10. The half is because sometimes I am presented with a situation that I am not 100% confident will work, but I am quite willing to try and figure it out. Socializing, 3 out of 10. It makes me very anxious unless it is with a very small group of people that I am quite familiar with. If it is a random situation where I do not know anyone, 1 out of 10, and I will be trying to get out of there as quickly as possible. I fare much better one-on-one. 7 out of 10 with a stranger. Then once I get to know them, things get better. Story 49. After being bullied until high school and having almost no connections to anyone, it is a struggle to do anything involving other people. Story 50. Depends. In life, about a 7. At work, a 9. Interacting with people, a solid 1.5. In life, I am fairly stable. I do not have much of a social life, but I have friends and family I interact with. I make more money than I need to survive. At work, I am one of the most senior people there and the highest ranking person under the executives. I know my expertise and everyone knows I know my expertise. That does not keep me from saying thank you and from tripping over my words when I talk to new people. Story 51. Entered adulthood with a score of 1 or 2 for many sad reasons and ignored it for a decade. After working on it for another decade, I would say 6 to 7. It is still a little below what is socially expected or anticipated, so I am labeled as humble more often than I might deserve. Story 52. 7 or 8, sometimes even 9. It depends on the situation, but I struggled for a few years before becoming who I am now. Story 53. 1. Outward appearance. Higher. Maybe a 6 out of 10. I obsess over my looks, but paradoxically, That gives me a sense of control. My long hair, my style, my makeup, they are my armor. I feel more myself when I know I look beautiful, even if the confidence is fragile and fleeting. 2. Inner worth, very low, maybe 2 out of 10. Deep down, I feel broken. Too much, not enough. I do not really believe I deserve unconditional love or that people will stay. That core insecurity drags my whole confidence number down. 3. In relationships, unstable, anywhere from 1 out of 10 to 8 out of 10. With people I feel safe with, I can be magnetic, witty, charming, and warm. But the moment I sense distance, criticism, or possible abandonment, my confidence crashes. It is not stable. It swings with my emotions. 4. Abilities and competence, 3 to 4 out of 10. Because I have not followed a typical path, like school or work, I constantly feel behind. Even if I am talented in emotional insight, I second-guess myself so much that I rarely feel competent. I do not think I am 0 out of 10 because despite the self-loathing, I do have a spark of pride in my uniqueness. I do not want to be ordinary and, in certain moments, I cling to the belief that being different makes me special. That fragile pride keeps me from absolute 0. So 3.5 out of 10 is my overall confidence, but it is wildly unstable. Some days I look in the mirror and think I am ethereal, no one could replace me, and other days I am convinced I am worthless and disgusting. Both extremes live inside me. Story 54. How confident do I come across? 10. How confident am I? 2. Story 55. February 10th. I do not know, I do not know. I would say why, but then it would be a sad story. Story 56. 10. Hit 3 new personal records today, running in the rain. I feel incredible despite being soaked on the floor right now. Story 57. -30. I seem to have a Disney evil queen's curse on my life where anything I try to do fails, and anything I really want to do well fails spectacularly. Story 58. Internally, I am about 80% confident, but I cannot express it. Story 59. I would say 7. I believe in myself, but I still doubt sometimes. Story 60. Depends on who I am with and the setting, but generally is 6. Story 61. Not very. Maybe 4 out of 10. I would like to say I am more competent than I am confident. Story 62. 9 out of 10 cause. Look, wherever I go, even random girls comment that I look good. Finance, I have a professional doctorate degree. Study, I have never scored below 90% in any exam. Activity, I won gold at racing tournaments. Story 63. About a 3. How confident do those around me think I am? Probably an 8. Fake it until you make it. Don't let them see you sweat. Story 64. I am educated, I am not terrible to look at, and I am a total extrovert. I have no problem speaking to anyone at any time about anything, and I am not at all concerned about what other people think of me. Story 65. 8 out of 10. Confident in most everything I do. Not naive enough to think I am an expert on everything, and not afraid to ask for additional information. Story 66. 2. But I act like around an 8. Fake it till you make it. Story 67. Probably 3, but I am also going through a breakup as a 20-year-old female, so. Story 68. Maybe about an 8. I am comfortable with myself, my place in life, and the person that I am in general. Story 69. 5 normally. 10 after a few beers. Face like a catcher's mitt, but a decent-sized dong helps with dating if they are also drinking. Story 70. If you asked me to do it, then even if I mess up, it is your fault for trusting me. Story 71. 9 out of 10. I am secure with myself and my relationships. I am not afraid to be embarrassed, put myself out there, or ask questions to get answers. My personality is likable and funny, which attracts people. Story 72. Confidence in what? It varies by activity. Sports 1. Video games 8. Public speaking 7. Making cereal 9. Story 73. I'm great at projecting confidence. I'm super outgoing and easy to hang out with. People really like that about me. What they don't know is that it comes from a place of deep insecurity and lack of self-love. That's what drives me to be the person I am. If you've ever received a compliment and didn't really feel like it was deserved, that's how I feel. It has been a long road, and I am a lot better now, but there is still a lot of work to do. So outside 10 out of 10, inside 2 out of 10. Story 74. I would say an 8, but I am not sure how your scale works, so maybe a 7 or 4 instead. Story 75. 10 out of 10 if I am good at what I am talking about. I am basically not a shy person, so normally 8 out of 10. Story 76. The people around me made it this way. It is just 3 or maybe 4. Story 77. 10 out of 10. I spent my early years filled with anxiety and low self-esteem. Now I'm in my 30s and realize I have one life, so I might as well think I'm amazing while living it. Story 78. That way, there is always room for improvement. As for why, I naturally have little to no concern over other people's opinions of me. I try to make my family happy, and that is about it. Story 79. Probably like 8 out of 10. I can be shy or awkward at times, but overall, I am happy with my life, happy with who I am, and happy with what I have achieved. This has been very different from when I was younger. I hope to grow even more as I age. Story 80. Still developing and learning, but good enough for all the work that I have done. For a year and a half, I have become more authentic and have been communicating with everyone with greater honesty and openness. Story 81. Normal day to day, I would say around 7. At work, I am a 15. When I am drunk, I am usually just sleepy. Story 82. Lately, my confidence has been at a 6 or 7, but I have struggled with self-confidence for a while. Usually, it is more of a 3 or 4, but my coworkers have helped me with that, and maybe Lexapro has as well. My job makes me feel less useless as someone who battles with an invisible disability, epilepsy. That may sound unusual to some, but I think being stuck at home for a long time can do that to you. I know some might say, you are not useless. But it is hard not to hear the general public, especially as a man. I say forget them, but it still affects me. Story 83. 7 out of 10 experiencing an episode of mental illness. 10 out of 10 no episode. Story 84. Am I in a manic episode or a depressive episode? That will change it from a negative to maybe a 6. Story 85. Like 4, but I am very good at faking it. I have always been told I am very confident. Story 86. Gosh. I don't know. Maybe a 3? I don't know. Maybe a 2. No. Story 87. I am unique and pretty. I think I am nice. Story 88. I was harassed in middle school, especially by girls. I was diagnosed with autism during this period, which made me feel that I was not normal. This feeling stuck with me and undermined my confidence. Story 89. 7 to 8 hours depending on my mood, how much sleep I have had, and what I am wearing. Story 90. Confident? Confident I can beat any average opponent in Quake. Hell yeah. Confident I can cook a mean tortilla con patatas with a whiskey sauce? You better believe it. Confident I'll be able to do my job without constantly feeling like I'm gonna mess it up every evening despite having 25 years of experience? No. So confident in what regard? Confident speaking in front of people? Yeah. Confident about my looks? Nah. Confident about my personality? Yeah. Confident about my future? Hell no. Story 91. About 8 to 9 on a normal day, 10 when I have my favorite dress on. Story 92. I am a lifelong introvert and have little to no experience being in a crowd. Story 93. Every instance of an unqualified person falling into success makes me more confident honestly because if that person can do it, why can't I? Story 94. Solid 8. And to quote Schitt's Creek, no one cares but you, David. Story 95. I would rate myself 5 or even below. In any serious situation or conversation, I feel very nervous. My hands start to sweat a lot. My mouth begins to shiver, and people notice that I am shivering. This gets worse over time. I do not know how to control this. My friends say I need a therapist, but I do not know what to do. Story 96. In reality, my confidence level is closer to 6 or 7, though I choose to present myself as if it were a 10. While some days are better than others, revealing how low I feel during more difficult moments would make my struggles apparent. Regardless of my internal state, I maintain the appearance of constant 10. Story 97. Depends on the situation. Outside, playing with my children, I rate it 10. Inside, playing with my children, I rate it 6. They usually win. In public, most of the time, I am a neutral non-player character. Story 98. At one point in my life, I was full of confidence. But then life happened. Everything went downhill, and my confidence became non-existent. Story 99. I have passed on my deoxyribonucleic acid. I am effectively immune to social contagion or opinion at this point. Story 100. Depends on where I am in my hormonal cycle. Follicular phase 8 out of 10, ovulating 10 out of 10, luteal phase 5 out of 10, menstrual phase 5 out of 10. Story 101. Most days I would say 7 to 8 depending on where I am and who I am with. I am finally at a point where I like who I am. I still have insecurities here and there, but they do not own me like they used to. Story 102. People often tell me about a field I know a lot about, and then I doubt if I have ever known anything. Story 103. I would say 1 because I do not feel confident in what I can do. Story 104. 3 out of 10. Self-confidence equals 3. I do not hate myself, but I have neither the resources, the foresight, the energy, nor the patience to make a positive change in this world. I subscribe to the school of thought, if you cannot help, at least do not hurt, where I simply stay out of everyone's way as best I can. Story 105. I am a perfectionist, and I question myself a lot when things do not work as well as I expected. Story 106. My partner would rather watch pornography than be with me. That's a total confidence killer. Story 107. In person, I have little confidence, maybe a 2 or 3. Online, where I can build a connection, it is a lot higher, like maybe a 7. Story 108. Old age is making me see through a lot, but I am still insecure. Story 109. Depends on the situation. With people I like, it is a 7 out of 10. In unexpected situations, I try to be a 5 out of 10. Story 110. Depends. Normally 8 to 9, and I thank my wife for being supportive and giving me that general confidence. I had an ex who would routinely disparage me, and my confidence was probably at a 2 for quite some time until I left that relationship. Surround yourself with people who will lift you up to be your best, and you return the favor. A stranger's opinion should not matter, but the people you confide in and trust can often change your perception of yourself and affect your confidence. Story 111. It depends on what I am doing. Confidence about building or repairing something, 10 out of 10. Confidence about being a good person, 6 out of 10. Confidence in being a good partner or lover, 2 out of 10. Story 112. But not without years of less than that. As you get older, you learn that you can simply remove the subtractors. People, places, things, just let them go if they are not adding to you. Start doing and being what you want. If you are ever self-conscious, remember that people are self-interested. If it does not concern them, they really do not care. Think about how you think about other people. Do you really care about something embarrassing someone else did? Story 113. Depends on what we are talking about. Confident in my ability to eat a whole pizza, like a 9 out of 10. Confident that I can navigate a regular conversation without saying something weird, like a 3 out of 10. It is all relative. Story 114. If you know exactly who you are and what you are most likely to do in any situation, then you should know when to lead and when to follow. That is practical confidence as opposed to pretending through life. Most people have that locked in by their late 30s. Story 115. Overall, 7 or 7.5 out of 10. I wasn't always at this level, but this is a career high. The reason is primarily my longevity. When I first got hired, I deferred to my coworkers who were already there. Over time, I realized that tenure does not necessarily mean competence. Now, I am still not the first in terms of time and grade, but I am the best they have, although I wouldn't say so out loud. I do not take anything for granted. When I finish a job, I double-check it. I spend a good amount of time fixing errors made by others that my supervisor gives me to correct. Story 116. Depends, am I being praised by a group of people right now? If not, then 3. If yes, then 11. Story 117. Solid 4.5 on a good day. I just don't find myself that great. I think I have a good personality, and that's all I have going for me. Story 118, 9 to 10, if I know, I know. If I do not, you get try Google. And a shrug. Story 119, social media and constantly comparing myself to other men. Story 120, 8 out of 10. Do not care about what others think of me. I have had some luck and never had a problem with women. Most things in life usually turn out well if you approach them with a bit of confidence. Story 121, 10 and absolutely no reason to be, just always have been. Story 122, I don't really show it. I just keep it quiet. I prefer to keep expectations low, so I can always pleasantly surprise people rather than let them down. Story 123, before I started working on myself, I was maybe a 2 or 3. Now I am a comfortable 7. Story 124, depends on what I am doing. I work 8 hours most days. Life, 5. Story 125, better looking than most people around me, smarter than most people around me. Story 126, it depends on the day, the people around me, my mood, and the activity. Some days 10, others 3. Story 127, I have borderline personality disorder. On a normal day, I am at level 3 to 4. On the best days, I am at level 8. On the worst days, I am at level 0. Story 128, I don't know what confidence or lack of confidence means. I just exist neutrally. I would say 2 out of 10 in uncomfortable situations, 7 out of 10 in everyday life, and 9 out of 10 when I am in my element. Story 129, 1 out of 10 sober, 3 out of 10 drunk, 5 out of 10 blackout. You will never catch me singing or dancing, even when drunk, but I completely blacked out one night and my roommates told me I was grooving. Story 130, I grew up with a really pretty older sister. My parents gave her all the attention, and it took a toll on me. My parents both passed away. My mom when I was 17 and my dad when I was 22, so I never really got to have the conversation with them. I was talking to my cousin recently, and she said, no, your parents loved you. Your sister was a challenging child. She had severe learning disabilities and borderline personality disorder, so I guess all the attention I thought she was getting wasn't because she was prettier than me. I don't know, maybe that seems shallow, but growing up constantly finding reasons why she was better and why I wasn't loved shaped me. I know I'm a good person and attractive, but that knowledge is fleeting, and I'm left with my little old self not thinking very much of me. I really lean on the nice things my friends say to me. Story 131. I am good at most things except math. However, I have some confidence in it because I laugh at how bad I am. Story 132. I don't know what I am doing in this world. I was born into it without consent. I am just trying to do my best. Story 133. Like 5 or 6 because I haven't got that much world experience. Story 134. In any non-physical social situation, it feels like an 8, but when you involve me in a physical social situation, it drops down to a 3. Story 135. I feel insecure more than anything because of my physique and the life decisions I have made. They have been a total failure, which leads me to distrust myself a lot. Story 136. 8 to 9 depending on context. However, when I am not in the mood to be leading, I will lower my effort and come off as less confident so I am not asked or forced to make decisions. Story 137. I am a good person with a good heart. It does not matter how I look. Story 138. How about negative 100 out of 10? I do not have any confidence in myself because I was always told I was wrong about something even if I was right. My father also told me, man, when I was your age, I could do so much better than you at something. Or, nobody wants to learn anything anymore, so I will have to do it. But when I try to learn, he teaches as if I already know how to do it, then gets mad when I cannot do the task on the first try. so I do not feel confident. Story 139. I was a 10 until I hit perimenopause. Now my brain tells me I am a 6. Story 140. From 1 to 10, not so much. Most of my confidence sets in after midnight. Story 141. 2 out of 10. I have many skin issues which contribute to my extreme lack of confidence. It is also a factor that I am a shy person. 9 out of 10 if I am almost drunk. 10 out of 10 if I am very drunk. Story 142. 8 to 9. I don't know why, really. My mother says I was always like this. The strange thing is that when I am feeling self-conscious, people usually cannot tell. Story 143. I would say 6 or 7 out of 10. Because I don't know, I want to, I guess. If I make a mistake, I know when I do and I own it. If I don't, and if I perform above average, I also know it and I don't need to say it because everyone sees it. It's a matter of knowing where you are and when. Sometimes one stays quiet and listens. Sometimes one has to speak. And that's it. The 3 to 4 point deduction is because recently I've been struggling more when talking to large groups or people with authority over me. I wasn't like this before, and I need to fix it. In your regular day-to-day life, absolutely nobody outside of your social circle cares much about you. So, should you care? A lot of the time, I find myself not caring too much because they really don't care about me either. I do care, however, when I am talking to people who can essentially end my career with a phone call, which I believe is justified. Caring in that situation, Story 144, probably a 5 out of 6. All I know is it sometimes always ends badly, but I never give up. Story 145. I drive in Houston on Interstate 10. I thought you were asking how confident I am driving there. 0 out of 10. Story 146. Assuming this is about romantic interactions, 1. I am shy and awkward. In non-romantic contexts, 10. Story 147. Honestly, I'd say that I am a 10. As I got older, I accepted the fact that this is who I am. That is the body I was born with, and I cannot change it. However, it is my personality now that makes me insecure, not my body. I feel like I have not reached my full potential yet. There are many things holding me back. Story 148. Depends on what. 7 out of 8 on general everyday stuff, and my job is probably a 9. Knowing when a woman is flirting with me? 3 or 4. Story 149. Depends on the day and what the thing actually is. My looks? Like a 7 right now. My abilities with my job? Anywhere from 3 to 9. Story 150. If someone got shot while I am walking on the sidewalk, I will mind my own business. Story 151. Depends on the situation. Total humanity crisis, confidence level 10. Average small talk conversation, confidence level 2. Story 152. Let's say 7. I do not care about others' opinions as much as I used to. Story 153, usually 8, and it is because of how I was raised. The majority of success is a direct result of effort. As long as I give something an honest attempt, I am confident I can do it and do it well. Story 154. 5 out of 10 most of the time. Not to an unhealthy level, but it is always good to doubt yourself at times. I have learned the most when I am unsure and have to verify that what I am saying or doing is actually correct. Story 155. Depends on what we are talking about. I am rock solid in an emergency, such as a house on fire, sucking chest wound, or shootouts. I can fix or build most anything. I am skilled in outdoor activities and trained in self-defense in a variety of ways, but unreliable when it comes to kids. I am just all thumbs until they are about 7 or 8. Then I am the guy. In fact, tomorrow is my twin grandchildren's 3rd birthday. I have no idea what I am supposed to do. Story 156. 8 out of 10 at work, 2 out of 10 at home. My wife completely destroyed my confidence. Story 157. My self-esteem is so abysmal that I have completely given up hope that it will ever get better. The crippling anxiety does not help either. Story 158. For now, I rate myself a 4. I am rehabilitating, have stopped smoking, and am paying more attention to my physique and self-esteem. I relapsed and lost everything I had achieved, but now I am coming back to myself. I feel like I can become completely sober, but it will depend only on me. Good luck to everyone. Security and self-confidence are everything. Even the most beautiful girl will be attracted to you if you have confidence. Story 159, about 110%, and it's a pathological problem. I have been in therapy and medicated for it. Hey, narcissistic personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder. I'm talking about you. Thanks, Mom, for the difficult childhood that caused it. I think that covers it. Story 160. I would say that the rating I would give my body is a 5. I can improve some things, but I lack skill and patience. Story 161. It feels like I have started transcending confidence and moved into indifference territory. Story 162. Depends on what type of confidence we are talking about. I am like a solid 9.5 out of 10 performing for an audience on a stage, but as far as everyday life, the voices in my head, and normal human interactions go, probably a 3 out of 10. Story 163. If I am in my realm of expertise, 10 all day. If I am learning something new, definitely a 1. Story 164. In terms of asking someone out, I am very confident, thankfully. I am able to brush off insults easily. Nothing ever really gets to me, and when it does, I am always able to move on quickly. Nothing anyone says actually matters to me. If someone is trying to insult me, then they just hate themselves. Story 165. 1. It depends on the situation. 2. It is necessary to deal with situations that require it. Story 166. 4 out of 10. I grew up small and skinny, and although I have gained some weight, 5 feet 9 inches, 150 pounds, it still messes with my head. Story 167. Straight up 10. I do not give a expletive what other people think at all. I am also fully willing to admit and accept when I am wrong, and very open to changing my opinion when I learn new facts. Story 168. I am 66 years old, and many people have died well before me. Forget every hater, racist, supporter of Donald Trump, supporter of Nigel Farage, and most of all, BMW drivers. I am a happy, happy boy. Story 169. Switching career fields has lowered my confidence a bit, but in all other areas of life, I feel pretty solid. Story 170. I think and hope that I have complete confidence. To be honest, I do not really know why. Story 171. I am not sure. I am a little scared to answer because everyone might ridicule me. Maybe a 7 because that is what everyone picks. Please do not be mean. Story 172. I have learned in my life that people who have high confidence usually do not know much and underperform. I kind of forced myself to behave like that. Took a while. Story 173. Depends on the day, depends on my mood, depends on the setting. Story 174. Maybe around a 2. The reason is that any time I showed emotion or desire to do anything while growing up, my stepfather punished me. That experience sticks with you, unfortunately. Story 175. A10. I couldn't care less what people think. I am nearly 40, and my ego is gone. I might do something silly in front of someone, but it is all temporary. Just be yourself. Story 176. Like a 7 if I had to guess. I kind of just do not really care what most people think about me. They can have their silly little opinions, and I will have my silly little opinions. I try to be realistic about my limits, though. Story 177. 3 to 4 on average. I have never liked my physical features and have developed severe social anxiety over the years. Story 178. Does it count if I am confident about negative things? If so, then 11. Story 179. 9 because I am usually correct even about things I do not know the specifics of, but sometimes I fall for it when people who know I am right tell me that I am wrong. Story 180. Like 5. Constantly broke and unable to do anything without money. Story 181. I am a good-looking fellow. I am big and strong. I am not the smartest, but I am not the dumbest either. I have many qualities that are interesting and stand out. I am also fairly mature and try to be as understanding as possible. I try to be kind as much as I can. I am a very likable person overall. Story 182 was 1 out of 10. Now I'd say I'm a fair 6.5 out of 10. Definitely getting older and realizing people's opinions of me, or how they perceive me, don't affect my day-to-day life. It still happens from time to time, but I'm working on it. Story 183. About what? At my job, I am confident in my work. 9. Confident in my looks. 7. Confident I can abstain from eating cake in my fridge. 0. Story 184. Solid 8. I try to have humility, and I find that it helps with my confidence. Story 185. I misread this as, how confident are you from Interstate 10, and got very confused. So I guess I'm a 2, given I live 2 miles from Interstate 10. It is a pretty big highway and goes through a lot of cities. Story 186. It depends on the people I am around. If they are people I connect with, I rate it around 7. Otherwise 3. Story 187. I'm close to a 9. I need to work on my physical health, but the rest of my life is neatly in order. I realized some time ago that being a good person in every interaction, every moment, whether someone was looking or not, was the key to high self-esteem. It has essentially become my life's mission and my primary identity since then. Story 188. 8. Because I think I am a good-looking, genuine person with a lot to offer. Story 189. I am confident in my day-to-day life, confident in my personal relationships, and humble enough to remain silent or ask questions when I do not understand something. Story 190. 10 out of 10 about myself. 0 out of 10 about approaching women and not coming off erratic, nervous, or stupid. Story 191. I know who I am. I am the real me. I don't fake anything. I walk the walk as well as I talk the talk. I make women feel safe around me without even trying, and I make everybody laugh without even sweating it. It might sound like I am patting myself on the back, but I have no reason to lie. I was the type of guy who was so nice, bullies wouldn't even bully me. Story 192. Very confident. I have known those numbers for over 60 years. Story 193. People tell me I sometimes look masculine. I have a lot of genetic acne and acne scars. I told a friend about it, and they all made excuses and avoided saying I looked even remotely pretty or at least nice. The fact that I have a round face and am a little bit cross-eyed sometimes does not help. The sad thing is I cry instantly the moment I see a mirror. Story 194. I would say middle of the road, somewhere around 4 to 6 depending on the day. I still have some growing to do when it comes to worrying about what people think of me, but some days are worse than others. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.